There are serial killers whose names carve an eternal, grim scar into the collective memory of society. And then there's Gary Ridgway, the Green River Killer, a man whose savage acts span decades, haunting an entire region. Over 49 confirmed victims, dozens more suspected, and yet, for all his confessions, unanswered questions remain. Today, we uncover the mystery of his final known victim, a young woman whose tragic disappearance is as harrowing as it is elusive. In the 1980s and 90s, King County, Washington, became synonymous with terror, a sinister shadow cast by a killer who seemed to hunt without fear. His method was chillingly consistent: young women and girls, vulnerable and often unnoticed by society's margins, would vanish. They'd later be found, bodies discarded near the Green River, often weeks or months after their spirits had been stolen. Ridgway's hunt didn't slow for years, successfully eluding authorities who were desperate for answers. His victims were mothers, daughters, sisters, names and faces buried beneath the staggering weight of his crimes. But today, we focus on one name: Becky Marrero, a 20-year-old woman who was last seen alive in December of 1982. Her case would leave an enduring riddle, a final note in Ridgway's opera of violence. Becky was no stranger to hardship. She juggled single motherhood while navigating a fragile existence on the margins of society. On December 11, 1982, Becky told her family she was stepping out for a quick errand. She left behind her baby daughter, confident she'd be back. Only, she never returned. When her family reported her missing, local authorities categorized her case as one of many, a situation tragically common for women in trouble during the era. No immediate alarms were sounded. For weeks, months, her loved ones clung desperately to hope. But as the months stretched into years, that hope faded like static on a dying radio signal. 29 years would pass. It wasn't until December of 2010 that Becky Marrero's remains were discovered in a ravine in Auburn, Washington, less than 10 miles from the Green River. The location fit Ridgway's grim profile perfectly. Her skeletal remains offered no chance for closure, only proof she'd suffered the fate her family had feared. Becky's identification tied her conclusively to Ridgway's spree. But crucial questions linger. If Ridgway admitted to dozens of murders, why did it take 3 decades for Becky to be found? Did he forget, deliberately burying her memory under lies and deceit? Or does her case suggest accomplices, copycats, or mysteries Ridgway himself refused to solve for investigators? Psychologically, Gary Ridgway remains a puzzle for some. His chilling emotional detachment, juxtaposed with claims that he genuinely tried to stop killing, paints the portrait of a man who thrived on domination and control. Speaking of Becky specifically, Ridgway barely remembered her, a harrowing insight for her family and a grim testament to the mind of a killer so prolific his victims became blends of faces rather than lives. What's more unsettling is how Ridgway's capture in 2001 relied not just on combined investigative work but also groundbreaking DNA analysis. Through forensic evidence, trace fibers, and microscopic details, detectives unraveled a web of death spanning over 20 years. But as technology advanced, some cases were still lost to time. Could there be more like Becky, silently waiting for discovery even now? Witness testimony also paints Rebecca's story in shades of painful ambiguity. An acquaintance claimed to see her that December night in 1982, entering a pickup truck that matched Ridgway's own. But that lead unraveled before it even gained traction, a fragment of what could have been a clearer map to justice. As we delve further into Becky Marrero's tragedy, we confront an overwhelming truth for so many of Ridgway's victims: their names too often fade beneath the enormity of his infamy. But Becky deserves her story, and her questions spoken aloud. Even in Ridgway's prison cell walls, his capabilities, confessions, and the human lives he reduced to secrets cast a shadow that lingers. Was Becky indeed his final victim, or simply the last name we were able to attach to him? Each forensic breakthrough reminds us how much we've learned about the past and how much still remains uncertain. If anything in this distressing case teaches us something, it's the importance of remembering the humanity within these tragedies. Becky Marrero, a young mother whose life intertwined tragically with one of this country's most infamous serial killers, is more than a name in a file. She was a daughter. A mother. A victim who deserves her story told. Gary Ridgway may forever occupy true crime infamy, but it's victims like Becky who deserve the final word. Their voices, their faces, and their unfinished stories will always matter.